Well, Razorback fans, it's officially game day. Arkansas LSU battle for the Golden Boot. So let's do a little THV 11 Saturday action here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors, and we're doing a little special edition of Game Day Locked On Razorbacks. And since we didn't get to catch up with them on a Tuesday, hey, Saturday sounds just as good. So let's do a little THV 11 Saturday action as we welcome in the sports director of THV 11 down there in Central Arkansas. It's Tyler Cass. Tyler, as always, man, appreciate you joining us. How you doing?
Glad to be here. Yeah, there's no alliteration, but other than that, I think we'll be able to power through.
We will find a way no matter what, man. And I know that it's been kind of nice having a bye week to just kind of sit back and let things sizzle a little bit. But here we are. It's time now. Arkansas coming off of a big win against a top 5 opponent, welcoming in the LSU Tigers, who's a top 10 opponent, night game in Fayetteville. It seems like all the stars are aligning for Arkansas to at least have a great game atmosphere, maybe even a great win for the Razorbacks too.
Yeah, I mean, we've, talked a lot about and seen a lot the last couple of years that playing in Fayetteville hasn't seemed to be an advantage for the Sam Pittman Razorbacks, but all of a sudden after that Tennessee game, it feels like maybe they've flipped the script a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, everything kind of aligns to repeat 2 Saturdays ago, 30 minutes earlier. But other than that, I mean, the stadium's going to be absolutely packed out tonight. I'm sure the parking lots are as we speak. So, yeah, this should be a blast.
So looking at the game itself, this is one that I think Razorback fans are confident, maybe too confident in some cases, but they feel like LSU is a gettable team. They feel like they can win. But the question becomes is if Arkansas wins, if they're able to get this victory, what does that do and how does that impact not just the team but the program? Because suddenly it becomes from being, oh, well, maybe it was a fluky thing, maybe Tennessee's not that good, to now, oh, no, this Razorback team may actually be legit. What would a win do for this team in this season for Sam Pittman?
I mean, there's 2 vastly different directions that I think the either edge of the discourse will go. One would be, oh my goodness, beat Texas and this might be a playoff team. Especially, I mean, obviously this year with the expanded playoff. And then there's the other side of it of, oh man, you really, really should have won those Oklahoma State and Texas A&M games. But both great problems to have if those are the conversations that you're talking about. I mean, the Tennessee win in no way, I think, saved Sam Pittman's job, but that seat cooled down significantly. A win today against LSU, and barring a collapse that we haven't seen in a long time, then, yeah, I mean, all of a sudden it kind of completely resets the Sam Pittman era at Arkansas. Because I think if we're being honest with ourselves, we kind of all went into this year going with, I think a lot of people thought that a move should have been made coaching-wise last year. This was the ultimate prove-it year, and back-to-back wins at home against top 10 teams would be the ultimate job in proving it.
So looking at it also where if Arkansas wins this game, you got the rest of the SEC schedule. They go to Mississippi State. They get Ole Miss at home, then a bye week, and then they get potentially the number 1 undefeated Texas Longhorns at home. And you have Louisiana Tech, you have Missouri at the end of the season, which we know is always crazy. But just if Arkansas wins this game and they look good doing it, like they look like the better team in this matchup, just what do you think the rest of the season and how it plays out? Do they suddenly become a team that, I don't know, can go to a college football playoff? Do they become a team that can at least make it to a New Year's Day bowl? Just how does that do for confidence as far as your outlook for the rest of the season for the Razorbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the season, I talked, and a lot of people talked about how there's no such thing as a favorable schedule in the SEC, but this was as close as it was going to get, where you don't get Bama, you don't get Georgia, and every single big game is at home or neutral site, if you want to count that, other than maybe Missouri, and all of a sudden Missouri does not look like how people thought they were going to be to start the year. And yeah, like you just laid out there, now that Arkansas is playing well, that it lays out even better. Ole Miss and Texas are at home. You feel, if you beat LSU, you feel pretty confident about Ole Miss. Again, another one of those Arkansas matchups where things tend to get weird, but if this is a year where those are going Arkansas's way, so much then hinges on that Texas game. And it stinks that one seems pretty locked into that morning slot. But not that people won't show up at 11 a.m., but it's always going to be a little sleepy at 11 in the morning, no matter how hyped everyone is. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at if Arkansas can beat LSU, all of a sudden anything less than, a 9-3 season would be disappointing. And you were talking about a game against Texas then that should be a win and you're into the college football playoff, because you beat them, you should be like, Louisiana Tech, Mississippi State. Those are, I don't want to say easy wins because very little is easy, but it's almost UAPB or UAB level at that point with those programs. So yeah, I mean, Ole Miss, Texas, Mizzou, all feel winnable if Arkansas could beat LSU. And I think we'll learn a lot about Texas too this week with that Georgia game as well. So a lot can hinge on this week for those two programs.
It'd be the most Arkansas thing ever is them winning out but still losing to Missouri at the end of the year when they can go to a college football playoff. That gives that vibe.
Look, if any, the Tennessee win this year, I think, has done the most for my confidence of Arkansas can stop doing Arkansas things. Because the Arkansas thing would have been a rollover after those two second half touchdowns, which I think in the back of our minds, anyone would admit that's what everyone was kind of thinking. And then they didn't do that. So yeah, no, it would be the most Arkansas thing to win out, be on the cusp of, oh man, this team's going to the playoff, and then something stupid happens in Columbia. But this team looks to be rewriting that script. I don't know. Again, tonight will go a long way towards that confidence.
And we'll talk a lot about the team, but specifically the offense and how they can start converting points on the board with these drives that they've had. It's been a struggle, but can Arkansas do that? Well, we'll talk about that and a lot more coming up next year on Locked On Razorbacks podcast, so stay with us. All right, all you Razorback fans, I got to tell you, sometimes intimate moments, they happen spontaneously, right? Well, we always want to make sure that we're ready when we can perform inside the bedroom, right? Well, Hims, they provide you that treatment and access to those treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, which, hey, it's never a bad thing. So giving you that boost of confidence that you need whenever that mood ends up striking. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims also provides a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and the other generics up to 95% cheaper. You can't get a better deal than that. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. Continuing on with the THV 11 Saturday here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, little game day action. Tyler, it's crazy because I know defense going up against this high-powered offense, passing offense at least for LSU, seems to be the key matchup everyone wants to talk about. But my theory behind it is like, hey, well, you can't win if you can't score. And this Razorback offense has struggled. They've scored enough to win 2 SEC games. It's great. But this is going to be a game where potentially the defense, they're going to give up some points just because LSU's offense is so great. So the offense has to help them out. Do you see that happening? That you got Taylen Green that's healthy? It seems to be, at least. It seems like they're about as healthy as you could have. But do you think Arkansas is going to be able to score points effectively and maybe finally figured out during the bye week how to score on these drives that end up in no points against Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, that was the most frustrating thing in the world. It should have been at least like 17-0 at halftime of that Tennessee game. And it's going to have to be the inverse, where that game, yeah, the defense really picked up the offense, but it's just not as good a matchup defensively, I think, for Arkansas this time. And yeah, we'll see what Travis Williams cooks up. I think he's earned some trust and some faith at this point in his ability to individually game plan, for what each offense is going to throw at him. But look, Taylen Green not even being on the availability report feels huge, because all week Sam Pittman was talking about, yeah, we think so, day to day, questionable, maybe won't be 100%. But then, yeah, not even have that probable feels like, all right, they feel confident. We're going to learn a lot in, I think, the first and second drives of, are we seeing Taylen use his legs, be mobile, do all the things that really he needs to do to be successful, or at least has needed to do to be successful? Or is he kind of losing that element of his game? And Bobby Petrino's had this, luckily, again, great time for a bye week. You got 2 weeks to prepare. have they spent the last 2 weeks going, all right, how do we run this offense with a less than mobile Taylen Green? And that kind of feels like what it all hinges on, because we have not seen Taylen Green, as good as he's been at times, he has not proved himself as someone who is capable of leading offense that can score a bunch of points from the pocket. And if that's what he has to do on Saturday, then I think Arkansas could be in big trouble here. The flip side of that is the run game. If they're supposedly getting a full strength offensive line. If Patrick Hudis comes back, and that's a big boost for that O line, and Arkansas can just grind clock, keep the ball away from that LSU offense, get their defense off the field, keep them rested. That's where Arkansas probably doesn't win this game if it's a shootout, because they just don't have the offensive firepower, especially if Taylen Green's mobility is limited. But if Arkansas can go on some nice long drives, similar to what they did against Tennessee, but then actually, score, keep the ball away from LSU's offense, a low scoring game, I think really, really goes Arkansas's way here.
Well, and you mentioned the rushing attack. Like, that's what to me is interesting, where, Andrew Armstrong, Taylen Green, Jaquindon Jackson, even a little bit of Isaiah Satania, those have kind of been the guys that aren't surprising that they're such key pieces to the offensive success. You could say it is a surprise that Luke has been, I mean, I know he's dealing with injury and everything, but he hasn't even been a factor in it. But what has been maybe the only pleasant surprise that has kind of stepped up, which I know every year there's somebody, is Braylon Russell, the true freshman. He had a really nice game in that final drive against Tennessee. And so it's going to be interesting to see the type of way that he gets involved. But do you believe that is it going to be more of like, hey, Jaquindon Jackson and Braylon Russell? Is it just going to be being limited in trying to run the ball as much because maybe it's more effective with the pass and trying to get Taylen Green more involved in the run game? Just what role do you think that this is going to be for Braylon Russell this game, particularly against LSU?
We've loved seeing that so far here in Central Arkansas, because the last couple of years watching him at Benton High School, it is, I mean, you see a lot in high school ranks, men amongst boys, but Braylon Russell, especially just because he's so big for a running back. Running back is that position. I mean, I go back, I'm a big Jacksonville Jaguars fan. So Maurice Jones-Drew always pops into my, you got so many good running backs in history who are, 5'9", 5'10", 5'7", whatever it is. And then Braylon Russell, who is 6'3", 6'4", kind of towers above everyone, just this big guy. And so that's where I think it's been so helpful for him, is he doesn't quite have the growing pains of getting up to SEC size, because he's been there the last couple of years. The defenders might have caught up a little bit as opposed to the 6A in Arkansas high school, but he has proven himself more than capable and up to that task. And yeah, I mean, I think he needs to have a role. I think a world where you're relying on Jaquindon Jackson solely, and like you said, Taylen Green in the rush game, we don't even know if that is a possibility this week. You need a healthy Braylon Russell, and you need a guy who, I think just classifying him as a power back is doing him a disservice, because he has more than that, but it is very much, he is not someone who's trying to make everyone miss. He is someone who's saying, it's going to take more than one guy to bring him down. So again, if Arkansas can pull off these long kind of punishing drives that they need to, I think, to win this game, yeah, I think you see a lot of Braylon Russell. I mean, I think he's earned that too. Not just a short yardage guy, but someone who can keep Jaquindon Jackson fresh, because Jaquindon's hopefully breaking off big plays. Then you bring in Braylon Russell to go, all right, we need 5 yards, we need 6 yards, even on a first down. Like, all right, make, second and short, third and short, Braylon Russell on first. I mean, if they can make that happen, then this offense starts to click a lot better. And again, especially with a presumably limited Taylen Green.
All right, so I know we talked about it on our THV 11 segment, but since it's on Locked On Razorbacks, talking about predictions, I have the Hogs winning today. Do you believe that the Razorbacks are going to keep that golden boot in Fayetteville for a year?
Oh yeah, I believe, and it's so much of it hinges on, again, that second half of the Tennessee game from the intangibles, because we've talked about it, everyone's talked about it. The one thing, as good as Arkansas has played at times this year, last couple of years, they just seem to lack the ability to win close games, to close games out, to ride with it when things started to go the wrong way in the fourth quarter. And every single time that could have happened against Tennessee, it didn't. The defense probably a little frustrated with the offense in the first half, then gives up a couple scores, but still puts the clamps on when they needed to. The offense loses their guy in Taylen Green, still gets the drive that they need to. So I'm hoping that was the page turning under Sam Pittman and this team figuring out how to win. I mean, it's like we always say in basketball, a guy's struggling, you just need to see one go through the hoop. They've seen one go through the hoop now. They know how to close things out. This LSU game is always close. So yeah, give me Arkansas 24, LSU 21.
Should be a great game no matter what. And THV 11, of course, is going to have all your coverage. So Tyler, before we let you get out of here, just remind everybody how they can find all the great coverage at THV 11 and the Hog Hype and Hog Zone, all that great stuff that you guys do over there for game day content and where they can consume it.
Yeah, Hog Hype with John right here. You can always find on our website, thv11.com, or streaming on our app, THV11 Plus. And then tonight, every Saturday, we're the only local news station in the whole state that is going to be live for a full 20-minute post-game show after the game. Hopefully after the game. We're live at 10:10 tonight, no matter if this game is over or not. Things got hairy during that Tennessee game with it ending mid-game, but it doesn't matter. We're there to either tell you what's happening or tell you what just happened. It's a lot of fun. It's chaotic, but what live post-game show isn't? So yeah, right on THV 11. That's CBS in Central Arkansas, or streaming live on our website, thv11.com. Hog Zone after every Razorback game.
So it is the sports director of THV 11, Tyler Cass. Tyler, as always, we appreciate it. We'll be catching up next Tuesday, back on track for another THV 11 Tuesday. So it's good catching up with you. Enjoy the game, man, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.